Welcome to my quick walk down into the Murra El-Elevyn cave. This video starts just after I descended the ladder, which gets you down the first 5 to 6 metre part, which is a fairly sheer drop off. The ladder is useful to save some climbing essentially. On this occasion I used the rope while I was descending, which I didn't always do because I was quite confident walking down there without that, even though it's really quite steep and there's a lot of fairly smaller rocks, slippery rocks in some places, and a lot of movement as well underfoot. Certainly used the rope this time because I was carrying the GoPro in the other hand. Very, very difficult to get a sense of the steepness of this section on camera. And I tried essentially in one of my other videos, there was some footage as well, which again failed to really capture the steepness of this section. You can sort of see the angle of the rope. It points down quite markedly. Just flicking the rope over to whatever path I wanted to walk. You can see a lot of those smaller broken rocks there, which take a little bit of technique to traverse without feeling like you're slipping or falling. You can almost see at the back of the cave where the actual entrance is to the cave proper part of it. This section's really an open air section. You can see sort of down the bottom there's a bit of a hole which leads into the cave section of Murra El-Elevyn cave. The rocks are quite interesting through here, the formations are. They sort of somewhat look unstable, or look like bits and pieces would break off really quite often, but I don't think that's the case with this cave. It all seemed fairly solid rock when you're actually there and up close to it. So I'm now just coming to the end of that rope. The rope didn't extend all the way down to the cave entrance, but essentially it ran parallel to where the basket of the Flying Fox stopped for transporting gear down, which was to my right at this point. We are looking up the chamber. As you can see, it's semi-open air, partly overhead, and that shot captured some of the steepness of it, but it is in real life a lot steeper than that again. To get through here, it's a matter of picking your way through some larger boulders. Takes a little bit more stepping and maneuvering over. You can see that rock in the background has a sling attached to it, and that's another downhill section with a safety rope set up for those who needed it. And at this point, the light goes back on. You can also see the sling to the right there that holds the Flying Fox. Of course, there's a lot of ways that those ropes and flying fox lines could be attached, but one of the kindest ways and least destructive ways in the cave is to use slings. And this descends really quite quickly. Not sure what that dust was. Maybe my hand touched something. None of these rocks were rocks that I used to bear any load. But again, this section here was a lot steeper than what it looks in the video. Definitely took some work transporting all the cylinders and all the bags down into the bottom of the cave. And once we get to this section here, you can see the rope still to my left, and that's still the same safety rope as I'd passed at the top. And I come up to another section where there's another set of ropes attached. This one I did use, and I turned the camera off very briefly just to make this short pass. As you can see, looking back up there, some very small spots of light that can be seen. And here I've just dropped down that other rope. I did turn the camera off for a moment to put it in my pocket because I needed two hands to make that steep rock section. And this is definitely a cave proper here. There's certainly no light at this point other than the lights that you bring with you. This part is not exceptionally steep. It does continue to make its way down, but it's a reasonably long plateau. You just need to be aware of some of the holes and fairly deep ditches that are through it. And we come to the end here, and it's a little bit of climbing to get down, nothing too drastic, just a few steps. You can see the size of the cave there. And that light you can see in the background is where the water's edge is. Yeah, this cave itself isn't too tricky. It's reasonably steep in places, but um, comparatively easy to traverse than other caves like the next cave series that I'm going to make of Panic and Plain. Panic and Plain's a whole different beast altogether. But as you can see, I've just reached the water's edge, and it's roughly a 10-minute walk down to the water. There's one of the other divers there, I think, getting himself ready. And it looks like equipment strewn all over the place, but in fact, everybody had to choose a spot where they were comfortable to set up, and we essentially kept all of our gear to those spots. The cylinders remained in the water, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed.